Welcome to the Class Video Spotlight Series. I'm your host, Doug Tolley. I'm joined again today by Dustin Craig. And Dustin, thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me.
Dustin, like we've talked about before, robotic process automation is really becoming important in healthcare. Tell us a little bit about how organizations are using RPA.
Yeah, for sure. So it's a high energy segment right now. RPA has been around for a long time, but for some reason it's really picked up a lot of steam in healthcare, particularly revenue cycle management. We all know that revenue cycle management is complex. There's a lot of focus and energy on that. And so anything that providers can do to make that quicker and have better results, they're going to look at doing, and RPA helps fill that void.
So robotic process automation, we have these scenarios where lots of repetitive tasks are being done over and over and over. These vendors come in and what exactly do they do? How do they help me out?
Yep. So vendors in this space are coming in, they understand what needs to be automated in revenue cycle management. They use the software to help automate these processes that human beings are doing. And human beings are doing them because there's been shortfalls, in the process prior. And the only way to fix that is to hire somebody to do that. Not always the most efficient or cost-effective way of doing things. So these processes get built that automate and obviously reduce costs, and they're able to take that labor and maybe repurpose it in other areas.
So costs go down. Some of this boring or menial or repetitive tasks are done by a computer. And then what do we do with the people?
Oh, so it gives the people an opportunity to go to higher, more complex type engagements, which increases employee satisfaction, right? Reduces turnover and decreases costs.
Yeah, if you increase employee satisfaction and reduce turnover, as well as reduce costs at the same time, seems like a win all the way around. A lot of these vendors are multi-industry vendors. They're in manufacturing, they're in healthcare, they're in technology, they're in other areas. Today we're talking about Boston Software Systems. They're healthcare specific. I think that's interesting.
Yeah, so Boston is healthcare specific, and what we find, and it's not that the other groups can't do the healthcare, right? But healthcare is so nuanced and there's so many specific challenges that those groups that are really focused on healthcare come in and really can do a great job in a short period of time with great results.
So that's probably one of their advantages is they understand healthcare, they get deep into healthcare, and their only focus is healthcare.
That's right.
Now we talked a little bit before too about an analogy about a fishing pole, and I can buy a fishing pole, or you can teach me to fish, or you can fish for me. Where does Boston fall along that continuum? What role do they play in selling me a pole, fishing for me, or teaching me how to fish?
Yeah, actually they do a little bit of all three. It's really dependent on what is the provider looking for. Some providers want to basically just have the software and do it themselves, and others are saying, hey, let me just pay for that. You guys come in and you do that for me. So it depends on really where the provider is at, but Boston can meet you in any one of those categories.
Oh, that's great. Were there any challenges we found in the research, things that Boston could do just a little bit better?
Yeah, actually the only thing that really came out was probably in that we'll sell you a fishing pole area. So people who are doing it themselves found maybe the interface was a little bit tricky, but it wasn't enough that caused a stumbling block, because we actually heard that 100% of the providers that have engaged with Boston would actually buy them again.
Yeah,
so it wasn't a big
you can overcome it,
right?
But some of those that just bought the software need a little bit more hand-holding.
That's right.
Okay.
And I think that that's something that goes across the entire industry, right? And I think that that's kind of a word of caution to any provider looking at that. You have to make sure you have the right resources in place if you're just going to buy the fishing pole, to make sure that you can see results and get that across the finish line.
Speaking of results, it was about 3/4, real close to 75% of those that we talked to saw outcomes within the first 6 months. So this isn't a year-long or year-and-a-half ROI. They're seeing outcomes and positive ROI fairly quickly with Boston and with RPA in general.
Yeah, and that's exciting data, right?
Yeah.
So is that you can employ these groups to come in and help you, and you can turn an ROI out really quick. And then what we're seeing is providers like that, and of course they're doing it again with different processes.
Absolutely. Well, this has been a really interesting conversation. We've done a few on robotic process automation, and I think we have a couple more coming. Dustin, thanks for being here today.
Thanks for having me.
If you know of an innovative, disruptive, or emerging tech company that Class should measure, please do reach out. And Dustin, the Boston Software Systems Spotlight Report is on classresearch.com right now. If they want to see actual validated customer experience, they can go out and download that from our website today.
Yep, come visit us.
Awesome. Well, we'll see you next time, and thanks for being here on the Class Video Spotlight Series.